life of Mbuwa chapter 77. Gingirikani Rishaka, Gingirikani Magaza, Gingirikani Machanga, Ishtange, Logo Shaka Shaka Shir. The 6 brothers, a coalition of rivers that seeks to destroy Mozambique, especially Gaza, year after year. What are they called? Limpopo River, Litaba, Shingwezi, Olifants, Sabi, and Crocodile. These rivers, they feed the destruction that you see in Mozambique. Why Moz? Why is it so heavily affected? Why is there so much damage in Moz compared to South Africa? You know, the damage in South Africa is mainly, you know, infrastructure, property. Yes, there's lives, but when you consider that, or let me just say, the difference in the two is that in South Africa you got very slopey areas, high gradient, so the water flows in high velocity, which is why it disappears quite quickly. It runs through, flows through very quickly. And when it lands in Mozambique through the Kruger National Park, when it lands in Mozambique, it finds a very flat area. It's a seaside, and most of the Mozambican area is absolutely flat. So water flows through from South Africa, heavy. Right, comes through to Mozambique. Oops, there's the sea. The sea is here, so it blocks. The sea blocks the water. So what happens with the water? It's similar to Tala Alanda, right? And what is then created is a dam. Is a dam that gets created, which is why you see the levels of water in Mozambique all the way to the roofs of the houses. Some of the houses are completely submerged in water, because what it created villages and towns of just them. It will take long for that water to subside, because the sea is not getting rid of its water. It's not making way for the water to gravitate towards it, and hence the level of destruction. Here's my question though, right? This happens year after year, time after time. Yes, there's periods, maybe between every 8 to 10 years, where it is at a significant level, as it is Rosita, right? But it happens every year. We have rains in December, January, and February, mainly January and February, which results in all of these rivers spewing into Mozambique, right? But I'm thinking to myself, but the solution to stop the destruction is not very difficult. It's not. Honestly speaking, it's not. Why do I say so? Is you create catchment areas along the path of all these rivers. You create catchment areas that are going to harvest that water. Instead of letting all that water go all the way to Mozambique, cause destruction, end up at the sea, and you can't use that water again, why are we not creating harvest areas, catchment areas, by creating dams? You know, you need to create them. Firstly, protecting the Kruger National Park, which is flooded all the time. Right now, you've got Olifants has been evacuated. Litaba is flooded, Shingwezi is flooded, Satara is flooded. Now we have to go back and spend more money to rebuild these facilities, when a lot of this could have been avoided. Create catchment areas in 2 places, just as the rivers enter the Kruger National Park. Harvest that water there, and before it leaves the Kruger National Park onto Mozambique, harvest that water there. And you can always play around with the floodgates. So if that area is full, then open a bit of water so that it goes downstream. The amount of water that could be harvested, that could be caught in these catchment areas, can then be used for the population of South Africa. We complain about the project to supply water to Guyana from Nandoni, but you fail to create a permanent solution of harvesting water that you can then use back in Guyana. You don't need Nandoni, because you've built all these dam capacities. I mean, I'm talking about massive catchment areas, massive dams here that are created on the paths of these rivers, right? So that the level of water that finally goes into Mozambique is not as destructive as we see it today. It's very simple. It's very simple. I can't understand. I mean, Bolamula, international minister. Looking at this level of destruction, I'm telling hands now your counterparts in Mozambique and say, how do we do this? We are saving you, Mozambique, from future destructions. So how do we partner with each other to create these catchment areas? These catchment areas, so that we don't see the level of destruction that we are seeing year after year. These rains will never stop, but the destruction can stop. The destruction can be minimized. We can mitigate the level of destruction that we see year in and year out coming from Mozambique. All it needs is really sober minds. Signing out. Let's talk again. Yeah, we will talk again.